bringing souls to thee. Every day I keep bringing souls. It's my mission to bring in souls to. Every single day I keep on bringing souls to Jesus by the service that I. Thank you, Lord. I want to say thank you, Lord. Take the time to say thank you, Lord. And I just want to I'll thank you, Lord. I'll thank you, Lord. I thank you, Lord. Been so good. I thank you, Lord. Watched over me. I thank you, Lord. And I just want to I'll thank you, Lord. You've been so good. I know you've been. Yes, you've been so good. Despite myself, Lord, you've been. Yes, you've been so good. Led me to today. You've been so good. And I just want to I'll thank you, Lord, because you made a way. You made, yes, you made a way when I couldn't see a way. Lord, you made, yes, you made a way. I'll praise you, Lord, 'cause you made, yes, you made a way. And I just want to I will thank you 'cause you saved my soul. Yes, you saved my soul. Won't take it for granted, Lord. You saved, yes, you saved my soul. I'll worship you every day 'cause you saved, yes, you saved my soul. You say you didn't have to do it, Lord, but I just want to. I'm gonna thank you, Lord, oh, because you've been my friend. You've been, yes, you've been my friend, Lord. When people didn't pick up the phone, Lord, you've been, yes, you've been my friend. I know there's somebody's testimony this morning. Yes, Lord, you've been, yes, you've been my best friend.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. So glad that you joined us for Bible study. It's been a great week. The weather's been crazy, warm, hot, cold. You got to prepare for it all. And so that's the beauty of living in Tennessee. But in spite of it all, we're grateful to God that He woke us up, that He continues to keep us in our right mind. He blesses us tremendously. Look for the blessings in each and every day. So listen, as I always say, call somebody, text somebody, share to somebody, start a watch party, why don't you do that and invite somebody to be with you? By now, they ought to know what you do on Tuesday night. But if you're visiting with us for the very first time or visit with us for a few times, thank you for being on with us. Sometimes I forget to mention that or fail to share that. I'm always grateful. I don't always say that, but I want you to know that if you are not a member of the Carmack Boulevard Church of Christ, but you join us from wherever you are, I see you. I noticed that we have people literally from all over the country that gather with us, and for that we say thank you. Thank you for joining us each and every week. So tonight's Bible study, but before we jump in, I want to share with you a little bit about something I mentioned on Sunday about our scholarships. So we are committed in order to help our young people further their education. And so we, on this year, connected with our 50th anniversary, our 50th church anniversary, we are offering scholarships to our young people that is going to become a regular annual part of who we are at Carmack Boulevard by awarding scholarships each and every year. I'm going to walk through those real quickly here because on tomorrow, our plan is to have the portal open in order for you to access those applications online. So one of the scholarships is the Annie McGill Hardison Legacy Scholarship. Sister Annie was a community advocate, a fighter for social justice, a champion of education. And so her family put in place a scholarship to honor her legacy, and that will be one of the scholarships that we give away. In addition to that, my youngest brother, who passed away in November of last year, the Deron Andre Nelson Legacy Scholarship. And so my brother was an entrepreneur, a businessman, and so we are going to be giving a scholarship away in order to honor his legacy for those who are pursuing a career in business, a degree in business, certification in business. And so that will be the Deron Andre Nelson Legacy Scholarship will be given away as well. The Miller Sanders Scholarship, there'll be two of those. That is in honor of my grandmother and my wife's grandparents, who played an integral part in our lives, and we're grateful to God. We had wonderful relationships with our grandparents. My wife was actually raised by her grandparents, and my grandmother was such a supporter and avid champion for me and my life and my pursuit in ministry, as well as all things that we had going on, including our children. And so we're grateful to God. So we're honoring them with scholarships as well. That scholarship is going to be given to a young black man or woman that is pursuing education and also been raised by their grandparents. And so that is that scholarship. Deron Andre Nelson Legacy Scholarship, those pursuing a education in business. Sister Annie is focused around her community work and service. And then the Carmack Legacy Scholarship is the fourth one. That is somebody of high character, somebody who serves in the community, and then Christ-like values. And so the way you access all those scholarships is through our website, carmackchurch.org. There will be an application. We're asking for you to submit a 2-minute video introducing yourself, as well as what your pursuits are, what your goals are, what your dreams are, and then 2 letters of recommendation, which will all be submitted online. And so we're excited about it. We're grateful to God. It's going to be over $10,000 given away in scholarships. And so it is going to be a wonderful opportunity for us to sow into and bless young people. And we know this, that what we make happen for others, God does for us. And so we're grateful for the opportunity for the Annie McGill Hardison Legacy Scholarship, the Deron Andre Nelson Legacy Scholarship, for the Carmack Legacy Scholarship, and then the Miller Sanders Scholarship. So you'll see all those on carmackchurch.org. If you know of a young person that is going to further education in college, a graduating senior, definitely guide them there and let them know that they want to apply for those scholarships. We will be awarding them on the last Sunday in June. think the deadline is going to be the end of May, somewhere about there. But the scholarship committee will share all that and make sure that that is easily accessible on our website, carmackchurch.org. So we're looking forward to that. Listen, over the next 2 weeks, I want to finish the conversation around what would Jesus do. We took a hard left turn last week because I want to continue to flow with this idea in 1 Corinthians 10 about how it is that God has not allowed anything to overtake us, and he will only give us what we can handle. And so I'm finishing what would Jesus do, because that's where I was before. And it really is our effort, that idea and that theme, that umbrella, if you will, of thought is an effort to examine instances in Scripture where Jesus had interactions with people and their lives were better because of it. So as we look through Scripture, we see all throughout the New Testament where Jesus is interacting with people, and when he leaves them, their life is so much better. So, but our aim is to use these examples and these practical applications that Jesus shows us in his life in order for us to use those same things in order to help somebody else for the better. Because here it is, it's wonderful that Jesus did it, but it does us no good if we see what he did and don't model that same behavior. And so we want people's lives to be made better. We want people to be richer and more joyous and have a better walk in life. And we do that by modeling the behavior of what Jesus did and helping to people to understand, listen, if I can do what Jesus did, I can be able to be a benefit in many ways the same way he was. And so he even said to himself, greater works than you will do than those that I did. And so we're looking forward to those greater works and being a blessing to people in our lives. And we're looking to Scripture to guide us. So in tonight's Bible study, I want us to visit a man who in Scripture has made his home in the cemetery. That's the man we're visiting on tonight. Not only has he chosen to live among the tombs, but he refuses to wear clothes, and he's been tormented by evil spirits. I know this sounds like a soap opera. It sounds like a movie made, a movie made for theater, but this is Scripture. That's the beauty of how intriguing Scripture is, that if you dig in, you can find all kinds of stories. But it's with that understanding that Jesus meets this man as he gets off the boat. So Jesus traveling by boat, and as soon as he gets off, he meets this man who lives in the cemetery, does not wear clothes, and tormented by evil spirits. So here it is, y'all. It's going to be a 2-week lesson. I started and I was just going to cram all this into one teaching, but I said, listen, I'm going to have to break this thing up because there's some powerful ideas and thoughts, principles I want to give to you, and I need for you to digest this. I need for you to take it in. I need you to examine yourself and then be able to use this lesson in order to better bless your life. So I'm going to take my time walking through the Scripture, and I want you to receive what it is that I believe that God is trying to give to us on tonight. So if you have your Bibles, turn to Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8, we're going to read verse 26 and 27. Then we're going to grab verse 29. So Luke chapter 8, so if you got your Bible, you got your iPad, you got your phone, your laptop, whatever it is you access the Bible with, I want you to look at Luke 8, verses 26 and 27. We're going to look at verse 29. If you have it, let's look at it together. Then they sailed to the country of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee. And when he had stepped out on the land, there met him a certain man from the city who had demons for a long time. He wore no clothes, nor did he live in a house, but in the tombs. Here it is. Drop down to verse 29 with me. For Jesus commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for it often seized him. He was kept under guard, bound with chains and shackles. He broke the bonds and was driven by the demon into the wilderness. That's a lot. That's a lot for us to take in. But for our thought and consideration on tonight, I want to frame this topic, this study, with this phrase: breaking free from the chains. Breaking free from the chains. The truth is on tonight that most of us fit into one of three categories. That we're either being held down by chains, that we are, that we have been in our past held down by chains, or will in the future be held down by, and might I say, invisible chains that the enemy tries to put in our path. because we don't walk around with chains on our hands. We don't walk around with shackles on our feet. But while you may not see it, it is still there nonetheless. So my assignment for these next 2 weeks is to try to help you break free from the chains. Really for you to recognize where it is that the enemy has chained you, that where the enemy is dealing with you and what the enemy is trying to put over your head. And I want you to break free from it. Let me share a few chains that we need to break on this evening. Somebody may say, that's me right there, Brother Nelson, but let me walk through it real quickly. Sometimes we need to break free of the chains of some insecurity. What do you mean by that? Is that you're insecure because you don't know how beautiful you are. Insecure because you don't know how special you are. You don't realize how necessary you are. And so because of that, you are now insecure about everything about you, not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. And I'm not really talking about how beautiful you are on the outside. I'm talking about you are beautiful on the inside, that you are special, that you are necessary. And when you realize how beautiful and special and necessary you are, that will now allow you to break free from the chains of insecurity. Somebody needs to receive that on tonight and say, you know what? You're right, Brother Nelson. I need to break free from the chains of insecurity. I'm always talking about myself, putting myself down and marginalizing my gift. But I want you to understand that you got to break free from the chains of insecurity. Not only that, but some of you may need to break free of the chains of comparison. That you're looking across the street to your neighbor, you're looking at your cousin, you're looking at the other family members who it seems like they got it going on, and then comparing yourself and putting yourself down. Might I tell you on this evening that one of the greatest lies that we have to deal with on a regular basis is the lies connected with social media. See, here's the thing about social media is that nobody posts about nobody called me for my birthday. Don't nobody post about that. That nobody posts about a vacation they took and it rained the entire time they were there. Nobody posts about the demotion they got at work because they wasn't doing their job well. See, only things we see posted about on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook are the celebrations. We see people on exotic vacations. We see people getting raises and promotions, but we never see the other side. And y'all know as well as I know that you have good days and you have bad days. You have ups and you have downs. Nobody lives on the mountain all the time. But because we get so consumed with the lies of social media, we think that everybody's doing good except for us. And so I'm just challenging you on tonight to understand that because everybody has good and bad, I've got to break free of the chains of comparison. I got to be grateful for what God is doing in my life, irregardless of what he's doing in your life. I saw somebody share the other day, and it was a great point, is that your celebration doesn't have to come at somebody else's downfall. We can both be up. I say it like this, that listen, that you don't have to dim my light in order for yours to shine brighter. As a matter of fact, if you dim my light, both of us may be in the dark because you make my light shine darker and you ain't got much light yourself. And so we've got to understand that, listen, that we got to stop doing this comparison and break free from that chain. Break free from the chain of low self-esteem. See, you got to know who you are, whose you are, and thank God for them both. I think I need to say it one more time, that you got to know who you are. Who am I? I am the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I am a royal priesthood, a holy nation called by God. That's who I am. Whose I am. I am the creation of God. God is my sustainer. He is my mediator. He is the one that loves me in spite of me. And because I know who I am and whose I am, I thank God for both of them. And so I have to move to the place that I don't have low self-esteem because I know who God is and I know who God has created me to be. So those are areas that we got to understand, that we got to break free of those chains. But while it is that we have some things we got to break free of, we're going to use the narrative of Luke 8 in order to guide us and understand what it is that this man had to break free of. That this man in today's text is struggling with issues, but instead of people helping him manage his stress, his anxiety, his acting out, they decide to lock him up in chains. Y'all see that? I hope y'all read this. I hope you're really getting this, but that's why I'm your teacher. That's why I'm your preacher, to help walk you through the text. The Bible says that he's dealing with stress and anxiety, and as a reflection of that, he's acting out now. And so the people who should come to his aid and help him decide to lock him up in order to get him the help that he needs. So he is already experiencing mental and emotional and psychological change. But to make matters worse, they are adding chains to the chains he already has. He already has some chains in his mind. He already has some chains in his mental space. Psychologically, he has some chains. But instead of helping him work through it, they add chains onto it. How often do we dismiss people as weird, as strange, as crazy, instead of trying to understand what they're going through and help them break free of the chains? So I'm trying to help you tonight to understand that not only do we want to break free from our chains, we want to help others to break free from their chains as well. So often, though, we spend so much time dealing with the symptoms instead of the cause of the sickness. We spend all of our energy and time dealing with the symptoms of the sickness, but not really dealing with the cause of the sickness. Symptoms are only a sign of the sickness and should be a way for us to diagnose what's really happening. One more time, that symptoms are only a sign of a sickness, and they should be the gateway we use in order to diagnose what's really underlying and what's causing it. Our goal should not be to try to silence the symptoms, but to figure out what is causing it and then find the cure. So instead of them working with this man who is acting out, who has these emotional and mental chains, they try to silence the symptoms instead of dealing with the symptoms. Listen, y'all, I'm not giving you no news flash, but I want you to just think critically for a moment. When you have a headache, do you realize that Tylenol and ibuprofen are not taking away the issue that caused the pain? That is not what they're designed to do. What Tylenol and ibuprofen do is they mask the pain. That's what happens. So when you take a Tylenol because your head hurts, take an ibuprofen because you have excruciating pain, and it goes away, it is not solving what causes the pain. It is simply masking the pain. So if your head continues to hurt, the answer is not to continue to take medication. You got to find out what is the cause of the pain. So if you take 5 Tylenol and it eases the pain for a few hours, but the pain is right back, you can't just keep on taking Tylenol. That if it is that you have headache day after day after day, and you keep on taking ibuprofen, the answer is not to keep on taking it. I've got to figure out what's causing the pain and not just continue to mask the pain. What are you saying, Brother Nelson? Because I want this to make sense to you. If you keep making poor choices, if you keep sabotaging your future, if you are finding ways to stay in chains, the answer is not to mask the pain by smoking what takes away the pain. That ain't the answer. The answer is not to drink something that makes you forget everything. The answer is not to sleep with somebody to make you feel good for a moment. The answer is to dig deeper and find the cause of the pain. So that is where we're at tonight, is that if it is that we're going to break free from the chains, we got to get into the ugly places. We got into get into the deep, dark places. And that's why I said that I was not going to rush. I was not going to push through all the way through this text on tonight. That was my plan at first. But I said, listen, somebody is dealing with some pain that we got to tear the scab off, that somebody's dealing with some pain that we got to pull the stitches out, that we got to really work through this thing in order to look at it and diagnose and say to ourselves that I'm tired of masking the pain. I need to find the cure. I got the cure for you tonight. And I hope you hang in here with me. I got the cure for you, and that cure is Jesus. Look at with me in verse number 30. We're still in Luke 8. I want to look at verse number 30. The Bible says, this is good, y'all. Jesus asked him, saying, what is your name? He said, Legion, because many demons had entered him. So watch it, y'all. Jesus gets off the boat. He meets this man who's living in the cemetery, who's naked, who is who has broke free of chains after people tried to chain him up because he's acting out. He has all kinds of disorders. Demons are troubling him. Jesus asked him, what is your name? What is your name? He said Legion. The reason why he said Legion is not because that was his name. That was not the name his parents gave him. The Bible says many demons had entered him. So here's my first point I want you to consider. And maybe this is the third point. I hope you've been writing a bunch of notes down. But just let me give you the point in verse number 30. Your circumstance is not your name. Your circumstance is not your name. I need to say that one more time because I need somebody to receive that. Your circumstance is not your name. Jesus knows his name, but I believe he wants the man to say it, which now forces him to face the reality of what he has created. I said that's a lot to say. Let me say it one more time. I believe that Jesus knows the man's name, but the reason why he asked him his name is for him now to force himself to face the reality that he has created. He meaning the man. He has created a reality for himself where he no longer sees himself as John. He no longer sees himself as Demetrius. He no longer sees himself as Aiden. But now he sees himself and connects himself with his circumstance. That's a sad place to be, to where now you don't even know what your mama called you no more. You just connected to what it is you've been dealing with for years. That you don't know what it is that God has called you to be, but you're simply dealing with and consumed in what it is that you've been struggling with for the last few months. God didn't create this man to live in a dead situation. You remember he was in the cemetery. He did not create him to walk around uncovered and exposed for anybody to just have access to him. That is not how God created him. He did not create him to be overwhelmed and controlled by evil spirits, but this has become his reality. He is now being controlled by evil spirits. He is walking around uncovered and exposed, naked, if you will. He is living in a dead situation around dead people and dead circumstances, but that is not how God created him. Listen, it's become so much of his reality that now he refers to himself not by his natural born name, but by the circumstances that have held him hostage. Let me say it one more time. Your circumstance is not your name. Parents, here it is for every parent out there, grandparent, auntie, uncle. Let me put you on notice. Stop calling your children stupid. So stop calling your children no good. Stop calling your children hard-headed, ignorant, or any other negative name. I want you to get that now. And I am fussing at you right now. So take your fussing like a man or a woman. Stop calling your children in a negative way. Stop calling them hard-headed and stupid. Stop calling them ignorant. Stop calling them that, because you have to be careful to not allow your words to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And now what you are calling them, they begin to act like. So you're wondering why your children act out in the way they do. Maybe it's because that's what you call them. You're wondering why your children don't try hard in school. Maybe it's because that's what you call them. You're wondering why they keep quitting stuff over and over and over again. It's because maybe you have called them into what they're now embracing. That all of a sudden, because you created this reality around their life by thinking you're trying to uplift them with some negative words, you're trying to rearrange and trying to get in their face. But maybe, just maybe, they are embracing what you're saying. And because mama said I ain't gonna be nothing, maybe I just decide to be nothing. Because daddy said I'm no good, maybe I'll just be no good. Because granny said that I'll never amount to anything, maybe I just won't amount to anything. You have to make sure that instead of speaking negatively on them, expose them to good people, expose them to broad thinkers, introduce them to business professionals, put around them educated minds, and watch how their outlook changes. That what you are exposed to, what you are brought in the company of now has an effect on what it is that you become. This man, I believe, is struggling the way he's struggling is because he's surrounded by death. He's surrounded by people that want to lock him up and keep him in chains. He's surrounded by people that are not helping him and not uplifting him until he meets Jesus. Oh, that's good right there. That until he meets Jesus, for the very first time he meets somebody that is not judgmental towards him, that is not trying to lock him up, that is willing to listen to him, that is willing to take time, and all of a sudden now his circumstance starts to change. I shared with you Sunday about one of our friends who owns a car lot letting Aiden drive one of their cars for his prom. So Aiden's excited, and I showed y'all the picture. If you hadn't seen it, go back and look on Sunday. But Aiden whispered to me, "Daddy, how much you think they make a year selling these cars?" They got cars all over the place and nice cars, and they got another lot. But he whispered to me, "How much you think they make a year selling these cars?" I said, "I really don't know, but you can ask the owner. He's right here. He's guiding us around. He's a friend of mine. And so he's showing us all the cars." I said, "Ask him. He'd be happy to tell you." And that question that Aiden asked about how much y'all make a year turned into a 20-minute business lesson about how much they gross yearly, about their margins on each car, talking about financing profits and how they make money on warranty products. So it went from just a question that Aiden asked to a friend of ours to now Aiden understands a little bit more about what it means to make money selling cars. I'm not sure what God has in store for Aiden's future. He shared with us that he want to play soccer professionally, that he want to be a pediatrician. He wants to be a number of things. I don't know what God has in store for him. But what I do know is that conversation exposed Aiden to a business owner who grosses millions of dollars in a year. And that exposure has now opened up opportunities and possibilities that were not possible before. Because it is that we had an opportunity to be around somebody who is an entrepreneur, somebody who is a broad thinker, somebody who is a business professional. Now Aiden is exposed to something that now may open up a door of opportunity in his future. What are you trying to say, Brother Nelson? I'm just helping you understand you got to be careful who you put your children around. You got to be careful who you expose them to. And I'm saying that from the standpoint is you never know who it is you put in their company may be the catalyst that pushes them to their greatness. I believe that God orchestrates and works things out when we are mindful that God is in the midst of our interactions and God is going to work on our behalf when we allow him to. So my point is let's spend more time calling our children brilliant. Let's spend more time calling our children entrepreneur and scholar and professional and followers of God. Let's talk to them in that way because I want to point them in a direction that positively impacts their future and their circumstances. See, we're trying to create an environment where our children realize they have limitless possibilities and they are not confined by negative experiences. Everybody's going to have a negative experience. Everybody's going to have a tough time. Everybody is going to have a bad day. But I want them to understand and you to understand that your circumstances are not your name. I hope y'all receiving this by now. I done said this enough that somebody I get that I don't care if you late on your bills. I don't care if you're going through a difficult season. I don't care if you had a bad health diagnosis. Your circumstance is not your name. Irregardless of if you're going through chemotherapy, if you are going through radiation treatment, if you're on dialysis or whatever in between, if you just got fired from your job, if you're going through a tough relationship, your circumstance is not your name. I hope you're getting this on this evening because sometimes the circumstances can be so profound. They can be so prolific. They can be so heavy and weighty that all of a sudden now you forget that you are called by God and you start to now look at yourself by your circumstance. I don't care what you're going through. You are still a child of God. I don't care what you're going through. You are still his creation. Your circumstances are not your name. So look at with me in verse 33, Luke 8, verse number 33. The Bible says, then the demons went out of the man and entered the swine. The herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. So here it is. The next thing I want you to grab, Jesus can change your circumstance. Jesus can change your circumstance. See, that's the good news right there, and a reminder of the reason I told you before that you can't allow your circumstance to define you, because in a moment, Jesus can change your circumstance. So here it is that you are calling yourself based off what you're involved in, and in the next moment, it ain't part of your life no more. That in the next moment, that is not your story. That is not your narrative anymore, because Jesus can change your circumstance. This man is living in the graveyard. He's naked. He's running from his captors and overwhelmed by evil spirits. But Jesus meets him. He talks to him and changes his life. Somebody ought to shout hallelujah, raise your hands on the emojis. You ought to just really right there. I don't care if you're driving. Hopefully you ain't driving and watching. You're parked on the side of the street. But somebody is looking over at you funny and you shouting hallelujah, because you are encouraged by this word that Jesus can come to you and change your life. He can change your life. If I had some people on this on tonight on this broadcast, on the stream, on this technology piece that could be honest with me, you would agree that Jesus can change your circumstance. The reason why you would agree, because he changed your circumstance. That you would say on tonight that, Brother Nelson, I was living without direction and without hope, but Jesus changed my circumstance. You could tell me on tonight that I was broke, that I was broken and on the edge of a breakdown, but Jesus changed my circumstance. I need to say that one more time, that you were broke and you were broken and on the edge of a breakdown, but Jesus changed your circumstance. That your marriage was on the rocks, but Jesus changed your circumstance. That you were drinking away your problems, but Jesus changed your circumstance. You were in and out of a relationship looking for love in all the wrong places. You allowed your anger to control your emotions, but Jesus, oh Lord, this is good. He stepped in and changed your circumstance. You were on the way to the devil's hell, but he stepped in and changed your circumstance. So I want you to realize it. Don't give up. Don't think it's all over. Don't write yourself off. Just because you're struggling right now, in a moment, everything can change. That in a moment, everything can change. I believe there's these testimonies in Scripture to help us understand how in a moment, everything can change. That you do remember that Joseph was in jail, that he went from a pit, that he ended up at Potiphar's house, and he ended up in jail because Potiphar's wife lied on him, and that he interpreted a dream for the butler and the baker, and it made way for him to be able to interpret a dream for Pharaoh. So one moment he's in jail, the next moment Pharaoh is raising him up to get out of jail. In a moment, everything can change. That on a Friday evening, Jesus is on a cross and he gives his life, but on an early Sunday morning, he got up. In a moment, everything can change. That Jairus's daughter was dead, and they said, leave the mass alone. Can't nothing else be done. But in a moment, she went from dead to now she's alive. That there was a woman dealing with an issue of blood. She couldn't stop blood from flowing out of her. She spent all her money. She's weak as a result of that. But in a moment, when she touches the hem of Jesus' garment, in a moment, he changes her circumstance. I could go on and on about a man who was lowered down by 4 of his friends, and he's paralyzed and can't do anything. But in one moment, he's paralyzed. The next moment, he gets up. That there's another man called blind Bartimaeus who's on the side of the road. He's blind. In one moment, he's blind, but the next moment, he's walking again. There's another man who's been at the pool of Bethesda 38 years, and he can't move. He can't walk. He's trying to get help and get in the pool. In one moment, he's making excuses. The next moment, he's well. I'm just telling you that Jesus can change your circumstance. I am so grateful to know Jesus and have testimonies of he can change your circumstance. I'm just talking about Bible on tonight, but there's at least 100 people on with me tonight that could tell as well that he changed my circumstance, that I was this, I was that. You ain't got to say it out loud. You ain't got to put in the comments. We all know that we were something. We are all ex somethings, but because of Jesus, he changed our circumstance. It's not only though, I got to get back to this. That wasn't none of that in my notes. It's not only that Jesus calls the demons out of him, but he destroys them so they can never enter him again. I like that part right there, y'all. Is that it's not only, the text says that he calls the demons out of the man. The demons now enter the swine. The herd ran violently down the steep place into the lake and drowned. So these demons are in the swine. He runs them off the edge of the steep mountain into the lake, and then they drown. So he calls them out and destroys them so they can never enter again. See, that's a word for somebody, because if you listen to me right now, if you're serious about change, there's some things you need to get rid of. So it's one thing for Jesus to do his work, but it's not absent of your work as well. That we got to work in partnership and cooperation with him. There's some things he does, but then we got to do some stuff as well. So some of you need to get rid of your TV and start reading more books. I'm just being honest with you, because you watching the news, it's got you frustrated. You got all kinds of subscriptions and stuff you don't need to be looking at, and it's got your mind going crazy. You need to get into some books, mainly the Bible, and you need to get rid of some stuff in order to focus on what it is. If you're serious about change, what I'm saying, you're serious about making this change, you're serious about him changing circumstance, you got to get rid of some stuff. That some of you need to delete and block some numbers in your phone, because the people you talk to all the time are the problem. They come to you with all kind of gossip, all kind of messiness, all kind of stuff over and over, and you keep entertaining that stuff. You need to move to the place where I got to delete that. I got to delete your number. I got to block your number. I got to make sure that I don't entertain that, because I'm trying to change my circumstance. Some of you need to fill out some applications on today. You need to get online. You need to go to the hiring agency or start your own business, because the job you work on is still in your jar. I don't care if you have been there for 20 years. 20 years ain't worth being upset every day. 15 years ain't worth you having a headache every day. You all out of character. You ain't who God called you to be because of the people on your job. Maybe it's time to start that business. Maybe it's time to get another job. But you cannot, if you're serious now about change, is what I'm saying, is that if you're serious about change, maybe you need to do something radical in order to make the changes necessary. Because if you're serious about Jesus changing your circumstance, you got to be willing to give him some good ground to work with. You got to be willing that Jesus, I want you to change my circumstance, and I'm going to give you a good ground. I'm going to give you an opportunity to plant something that takes root and now grows. Because I know this, that if it was that this man who was in the cemetery living there, that was dealing with these issues in his life, controlled by evil spirits, if he would have fought with Jesus, his life couldn't have been better. If he would have resisted Jesus, he couldn't have made the change. If he would have made excuses to Jesus, Jesus would not have changed his situation. But it is because he submitted to his will. It is because he's allowed him to work in his life. He allowed him to do his work. And then he did the work he needed to do, that his life was made the better. There's more to this story, y'all. But I'm just going to have to tell you, got to come back next week. There's so much more to the story, so much more I want to share. But that's a lot that I've already gave you. That's a lot for you to digest, because here it is. It's not about this man in Luke 8. It's about you and me. It's about our chains that hold us down. It's about our anxieties. It's about how we navigate through stuff and how we use the word to help our own lives. Even better yet, it's not just about you, because you know this, that God never calls us for us to be blessed by the word ourselves. Only he wants us to help somebody else. And so I'm challenging you on this evening that, listen, don't just receive this word for yourself, That's why I tell you every single week, share this with somebody, call somebody, text somebody, start a watch party. Because there's somebody right now that you know that is struggling with chains that the enemy has put around them. There's somebody that's walking around unexposed and uncovered and allowing any and everything to perpetrate their life. There's somebody who has been controlled by evil and evil spirits. There's somebody that's struggling with being around dead situations. Their whole outlook on life is dead. They think that there's no possibility, there's no hope, there's no joy, there's no happiness. And this word tonight would help them to understand that if Jesus did it for this man, he can do it for them. So here's my assignment for you between now and next week. I'll never give y'all assignments, but I'm giving you an assignment on tonight. It's an easy one. I just want you to read the rest of the chapter and be blessed by the story of this man. I'm going to pick up next week. I'm going to give you some more critical points as relates to this man in Luke 8. But I want you to read the rest of the chapter for yourself and then receive it. The story doesn't stop with this man, but it goes on to two people who I just mentioned earlier. Jairus comes up and talks to Jesus after he leaves this man, tormented by demons, asking him to go help his daughter. On the way to get Jairus the help he needs, Jesus interrupted by a woman with an issue of blood. I told you how Jesus, in a moment, changed their lives for the better, but I want you to read it for yourself. So if you would, read the rest of the chapter, read the rest of chapter 8. I promise you'll be blessed by it. And you'll be prepared on next week to receive some points that I'm going to give you that I think is going to be critical for your success and for the success of others. So I hope you've been blessed tonight. I hope that you have received this word. And I hope that it was given to you in a bite-sized piece way in order for us to really digest this and now make it work in your own life. I promise you, sometimes because I know the story, because I know what I'm trying to get to you, sometimes I feel like I'm moving too fast. There's something to be said about good communicators, is that good communicators communicate over and over and over again. And when it is that you feel like you communicated too much, communicate one more time. And I continue to be amazed that that is so true. There's folks that are members of Carmack Boulevard that, as many times I said it, don't even realize that every Tuesday, 6:45, that they missing the blessing. They sit beside you sometime on Sunday. They join you online. I done said it over and over again. Don't miss Bible study on Tuesday, 6:45. Don't miss the Wednesday class and Zoom for the teenagers. Don't miss the Bible story. But so many people miss that opportunity because it just goes over their head. So my prayer as a good communicator, is what I'm trying to be, as a good teacher and preacher, is continue to push it, continue to put it out there in order for you to receive it. I don't want you to get this rich word and for me to give you a whole bunch of points and now you're still dealing with chains for months from now. I want you to break free from the chains. And I want you to just look at these two verses, these 2 points, that your circumstance is not your name. Jesus can change your circumstance. Receive that. Receive those 2. Go back over your notes. Read the scriptures. I didn't give you a whole lot, so hopefully you can receive it and it can bless your life and those that you love and those you care about. I'm praying for you. I'm cheering for you. I want the very, very best for you. So listen, just a couple things before we leave today. Again, on tomorrow, on Wednesday, we have Bible stories every single Wednesday. That's designed for our kids that are younger than teenagers. So 11 and under. It's easy. It's simple. It's just a few minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. We have talented and gifted teachers and presenters that walk you through. There's animation and connected with it. There's questions at the end in order for them to remember. And I'm telling you, y'all, as much as our children are bombarded by every other thing, they stay on their phone 6-7 hours a day. Let them get on their phone and connect on carmackchurch.org. Click Watch Live. They right there in the Bible story. Go to YouTube. They know how to get on there. They watching everything else on YouTube. Tell them to take 6 to 8 minutes and go through there and answer those questions. Your children will be better because of it. We are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. And we're trying to get knowledge into our children. We're trying to get godly knowledge into them. And so we need your help and partnership there for you to guide them there. You make them come to the table to eat. You make them do their homework. You make them go to school. Surely you can make them be a part of the Word of God by video in their own house. Nothing hard about that. And then, of course, our teenagers, and I thank God for our teenagers. They join every Wednesday at 7 on Zoom. So they meet in Zoom. Some beautiful young people that are so talented and gifted and really are leaders and thinkers. And I thank God for each of them. So if you got a teenager that's sitting on the couch doing nothing, tell them to jump on Zoom. If you got a teenager that is everywhere else on social media, but they can't be, tell them to get on Zoom. If you got a teenager who eat at your table, eat your food, and take all your heat and air, listen, make them get on Zoom. And so I'm telling you, sometimes we got to push our young people to where they need to be. Listen, my mama didn't give me no choices, and I thank God for that. We try as well to not give our children a lot of choices, and we thank God for the citizens they are, the kingdom citizens they are, and we appreciate God for them. By no means are they perfect, but I'm grateful that they love the Lord in spite of all their flaws and fallacies. So I'm grateful for them. I encourage you to continue to push your children in those spaces. And here's another one, the Friday prayer call. I'm telling you, I try to be a good communicator. My wife told me this the other day because I told her I invited somebody to be on the prayer call and they had no idea that we've been doing the prayer call. Do you know we've been doing the prayer call for somewhere in the neighborhood about 14 to 15 months? Every single Friday, over a year and 2-3 months, we've been doing the Friday prayer. Every Friday, 8 a.m., we get on there. We fellowship for a moment. We receive prayer requests. I give a devotion, and then we pray for everybody. 15 minutes at the most, we on there. But there's at least 40, 50 people on the prayer call. But we have a whole lot more people that are members of Carmack Boulevard Church of Christ. I get some of them have to go to work. Some of them, that's an odd time for them. Maybe they get up later. But there are people that would be blessed by it, that they would be better. They act a mess on their jobs because they didn't start their day in prayer. Some of them is y'all. I ain't pointing no fingers, but I'm just saying that your day would be better if you got on the prayer call. And so I'm encouraging you. I'm pushing you. I'm really kind of want you to enter that space of prayer call on Friday morning. 508-924-5839. I got the number memorized by now. I got the number memorized and the way to mute everybody and the passcode. It's all stored right here now. I done did it so many times that it is part of what we do. But obviously there's some folks who are not benefiting from that, and I think your life will be better because of it. Listen, somebody's going to receive this word. As God's word says, it will not return to him void, and there are so many people who are blessed by that. I just want more people to be blessed by it. That's all. As we do our food giveaway and other things, we invite people to come to our prayer call, our Bible study, our worship, and to join us virtually to at the comfort of their own home to join us there. And so, listen, I don't went on too much. I don't went too far. I just want y'all to know that I want you to be blessed by the content that we're putting out. So much content that we are giving to you, whether it's prayer call or Bible study or worship or Bible stories or Zoom for our young people. So many things. There's no reason why you can't be connected. And then all the ways we connect you, whether it's or our YouTube channel or our Facebook page or our website or the conference call. We put it all out there in order to make it simple and easy. And we want you to be blessed by it. Listen, I got to go again. I've been saying this, I'm like a broken record. Aiden has a soccer game tonight. So I'm out of here. Got to get to the soccer game. Got to check him out. We just got a few more to go. And our baby is graduating in just a few short weeks. Continue to pray for us. Pray for him. that God navigates and open doors for where he's going to go to school, where he's going to be in college, and we will we'll be glad for what God is doing in his life and even in the life of our daughter and all of our young people. We're praying for you. As I said on tonight, we got to put positivity in them to make sure the positivity comes out. Expose them to the right people and the right things in order for them to be all that God called them to be. We got a part to play, and God's counting on us to do that. So listen, share your prayer request. I'll be praying for you. We'll monitor the comments, look at it a little bit later, and pray for everybody. We're going to close in prayer, and everybody have a good night. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity you've given us to study your word. God, thank you for helping us understand that we got to break free from the chains that the enemy has tried to hold us down. And the way we do that is to understand that our circumstance is not our name. Just because we go through tough times, that don't mean that our circumstance is our name. The reason why is because Jesus can change our circumstance in a moment. He's done it for so many others. He'll do it for us. So we want to receive that word. We want to let that word ruminate and find a place in our mind and heart that we receive in such a way that it gives us hope for the future and hope for others and be a blessing to others. God, we love you. We thank you. Thank you for everybody that has joined us on tonight. Thank you for all those who will receive this and listen to this over the next week and be blessed by it. God, we thank you. We honor you. It's my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a good night. We love you.